Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Not a bad place to be. First and foremost, let's just thank Brian for being our gracious host tonight at Expert Dojo. Let's give him a round of applause. We're really excited to have our second version of Hack the Beach, and this has been a really great partnership with the City of Santa Monica. Thank you very much to our partners. A shout out to our city manager, Rick Cole. Please give him a big round of applause for being here. You'll be hearing from him shortly. And then I want to acknowledge my government affairs director, who has been the kind of the person with BEHRANG, who you'll both meet very shortly, who have really been the people that have put this together. And last year, the last one we did was highly successful, and it really got people to where they needed to go, which is we had City Grows, who's now working with the city. So that's what this is all about. It's being, hey, how are you? It's being able to have partners come together with the city to make things happen and find solutions in our city. We're thrilled to be a part of that, and I'm really grateful for all of you people being here. I wish you luck. You know, I hope one of you gets to the city and gets a great partnership with the city from this. So I'm going to move on, and I think the next person I'm bringing up is BEHRANG. Is that correct? And Carl. Come on, guys. Come on up. Give them a round of applause, please. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for spending this beautiful Thursday evening with us. We didn't anticipate so many people standing, so to make it comfortable for everybody, we're going to blow through these opening notes pretty quickly and then turn it over to Rick Cole, who's going to give us a keynote on a responsive government. What I wanted to do is explain to you what Hack the Beach, the contest, is this year, and talk a little bit about last year's experiences and how it's influenced this year's contest. This year's contest kicks off today, right now. Our contest is off and running, and we'll give you the details about it. We're looking at a 6-month-long contest with a series of 5 what we call micro-festivals. We're going to do one of these events every month, with the exception of November, which will be a bi-month. And every month, we will have a theme. Tonight's theme is going to be a responsive government. And these themes are going to correspond with all of the design challenges that we're going to put before you. Last year, we had 3 topic areas where people could submit applications towards. This year, we have 6. Those 6 topic areas, those design challenges, they're not random things. They actually correspond to the business of the City of Santa Monica. They are taken directly from our budget framework, which is informed by the city's well-being index, as well as its sustainability framework. So there's a lot of great work that's being done on both the well-being and the sustainability front, and those are the things that inform our budget and inform all of the services that we provide to you as residents, as businesses, or as visitors. And it wouldn't be a Hack the Beach meetup without me saying what Hack the Beach, the contest, is not. And I say this every event, and no one listens to me. It's not a hackathon. And last time someone was offended. They said that I can do great things with a hackathon. That's great. We're not anti-hackathons. We think they're great. We may do them at some point. It just so happens that this is not a hackathon. This is a 6-month-long engagement. It's a contest where we're looking for solutions, real solutions to real issues. Just like last year, we're looking for a tangible product, something that we can put into a production environment, and we can provide a tangible benefit to our people, to our residents, to our visitors, to our businesses. And I referenced last year's contest. We had over 30 applications last year, and that number was whittled down. Oh, by the way, it ran the gamut, right? You had people who had products already, you had people who had just ideas, you had Harvard graduates, and then you had, I think he was a 13-year-old kid who had a really great idea. So it ran the gamut. It was really cool to see everyone come out and submit their ideas. We, along the way, learned some lessons, and some of those were hard and sometimes embarrassing lessons, but those lessons learned are definitely going to be incorporated into the work that we do this year. So we're not just going to do a recap of last year. This is not a copy and paste. It's a refinement. It's a continuous improvement process from our experience last year. And I want to give a plug to our winner from last year, City Grows, some of whom are here, Catherine, Vicky, Homa. It's funny, I've seen them twice now today. They not only continued their work with the city, they are now looking to do new work. We went with them at 2 o'clock today to see if there's an opportunity to use their product for one of our business processes. We've met with them. I mean, I don't know how many contracts we have with them at this point, but it's been a really fruitful relationship. My hope is that relationship will continue, and more relationships whether you're winners or not winners, more relationships will result will come out of this year's contest. As I mentioned earlier, this year's contest is going to be a series of 5 micro-festivals. We do want to focus a little bit more on community building in addition to the contest this year. So every one of these events, we would like to have a speaker or two to provide a keynote about these design challenges. We're working to get a really exciting speaker lineup tonight. Unfortunately, didn't materialize. However, we do have not however. Well, I don't want to spoil who we had. We have Rick, who's second fiddle to no one. And he's my boss. Jeez, I should just jump out of that window. How about if I just rescue you? We're gonna have Rick give a keynote. Thank you, Rick. A keynote on responsive government. But not yet. Government, not yet. In a few minutes, and he's going to articulate the. That was Mark Zuckerberg, by the way. The dream is Elon Musk, but we're working on that. And Rick is going to give a keynote on responsive government and what that means. And we're hoping that we get really compelling speakers who are of Rick's caliber. See how I try to save that, Rick? Who are Rick's caliber for future events. We're looking for submissions in, like I said, 6 topic areas. One of them is a responsive government. The others are, and you'll see them on the big screen, that big, beautiful screen that Brian has set up out there, if you go in that room. They are building community. So we hear about how we're a connected world through social media, but then again, you hear about people being lonely, more lonely than ever. We have a phenomenal well-being index that Julie Rusk over there, say hi, Julie, and Lisa Parsons. Oh, Lisa's getting the pizza. She's getting pizza, or maybe she's back there. They have a ton of information about what the residents of Santa Monica are saying about their state of well-being, and social connectedness is one of those areas where frankly, we need to move the dial. So how can technology help with building community? Health, be it mental health or physical health. A lot of people think about well-being. They automatically equate that with health. What can technology do to improve the health of our residents? Place and planet, and this has a huge transportation slant. How can we move around more effectively in a more environmentally conscious manner in a way that makes moving around the west side a lot easier? And we had a lot of parking apps last year, just as a reminder for everybody. So if you're interested in this space, I would suggest looking at something other than a parking app, unless you have a way to really change or disrupt parking. Just putting it out there. Economic opportunity. So we live in a very economically vibrant community, but we can do more. I mean, there are people who are still underserved, people who aren't able to take advantage of the American dream. How can technology help those people be contributors to the local economy? Learning. We've got some great education institutions here in the city. What more can we do, particularly in providing resources to the disadvantaged? And lastly, responsive government, which Rick will be speaking to this evening. I did want to close my comments with, there will, of course, be something in it for you. It's not just a matter of feeling good. We are looking to get prizes from our partners. Last year's prizes included space and training over at GA, at Cross Campus, and some of our other partners, and, of course, business with the city. One of the things that we're really excited to announce this evening is that whoever submits an application, whether you make it to the finalists or whether you become the ultimate winner, you will be put on a list of pre-qualified vendors with the city of Santa Monica. So we're trying to bring our services to you. We're trying to bring the city to you, as opposed to you having to know how to do business with us. And our procurement manager, who is awesome and amazing, Araceli in the back over there, has been a great partner for us, and she's made this happen. So if you have any questions about procurement, she has taken time to be here to answer anything you may have. So those are my notes. Carl is going to talk about process and our timeline.
All right, so touching on process. So this year, applications are live tonight. Encourage you to meet with City Grows reps that are here who actually built the application for this year's contest. We don't want you to wait. till applications are due in September. We want you to get working on that now. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to us. We're going to have an event in August, which you'll see an invite for shortly, where you'll actually have a chance to discuss your ideas with us. We'll have people there to help you kind of shape your product in a direction that matches the goals of the contest. So this year, as last year, finalists will be judged on value, viability, and growth. Those are the kind of three general principles upon which we'll be judging the products that we see come forward. hackthebeach.com for the application. So check that out now. That is live at this moment. You can start filling that out. August event will be the interaction with the judges, a chance to bring your ideas before the very people that will be making the decisions on who the winners are. And then in October, September, we'll have a lightning pitch event where every team that applies will have a small amount of time to do a very quick pitch to the full audience. We'll all have a chance to hear what you have planned, and you'll have a chance to interact with us, get some feedback, and shape the ideas from there. And then in October, we're going to whittle down the finalists, so final selection of teams that have the best, most compelling ideas to continue on. And then in December, we'll have the judging night. We've got an exciting pool of judges this year that we're really thrilled to introduce to you later, and they'll be there to pick a winner. The winner will not be announced there. The winner will be announced at the State of the City in January. That's a huge event. Attended by over 900 people. The whole community comes out for it. You'll have a chance to be recognized in front of a great audience, and we're thrilled about this. Before we move on, I want to bring Brian back up just to give a quick pitch for what Expert Dojo is all about, and really thank him for hosting us tonight. And also wanted to give a shout out to all of our planning team that's here, members of Cross Campus and GA, Scale LA, Hacker Fund, and many others. If you're part of that team, just raise your hand, please. Yeah, there's Taylor back there. There's Becky. Sean's part of the team too. I know there are others out there. So a big shout out to everyone at the city and the chamber and the tech partners that have put this together.
Thanks, buddy. Hey, so I'm not actually going to do a pitch about Expert Dojo. Many of you already know us. Those of you who don't know us, we're started off as a training academy for entrepreneurs. We turned into an accelerator. We're going to be giving investments in companies of about $25,000 to $50,000 per company relatively soon. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. I want to talk about entrepreneurship and early stage entrepreneurship, and I want to put this entire meeting and what we're doing right now into context. So when we first arrived here 3 years ago, we looked at entrepreneurs and we didn't understand why were entrepreneurs failing so much. Why was there a 98% failure rate within early stage entrepreneurship? Like such a brave endeavor being turned into such a horrible failure at such a stage. So at the time, or at the beginning, we looked at entrepreneurship and we thought we're going to study everybody who comes in here for 6-9 months, and we're going to try and find out why is this happening and how can we fix it. So I'm going to create an analogy here, which could go either way because I only made it up a couple of seconds ago, but I think it might work, right? So we're going to imagine a little village. And this is a small little village in... Here, Brian, can I take that mic? Thanks. I need a mic. I need a great one for this thing here, right? So we're going to imagine entrepreneurship as a small little village, and this is a tiny little village of one, right? And this village knows that it's surrounded by dozens of other villages, and every single village has got hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and they're all looking at this little village right in the middle, and they're going to go, wow, we are going to destroy this village really easily. So the little village said, we need a knight. We need like a shining knight that's going to save us, because otherwise we're going to be part of the 98% failure rate. So they went to investors, right? Seemed like a good idea, not a great idea as it turned out. Like the investors came in and they stole everything that was left in the village, right? This is not an actual story, it's a made-up story. Okay, so it didn't really happen, right? So then they said, we're going to look for another knight. And they went out and they looked for all of the experts in the area. And they said, we want you to come in here and we want you to save us. And all those experts did was they consulted with them until they had no money left. And then the village said, you know what we're going to do? We're actually going to go to the city. And we're going to say to the city, what if all of the products and services and things that you needed rather than working with the people that you've worked with for the last 10, 20, 30, 50 years, what if you actually went into the startup community and you found people who had hopes and wishes and dreams, and beyond that, they had great skills, and they had companies, and they had amazing stuff that would be really cool to the city, and they would probably try 10 times harder than any of these companies you had been with before. Wouldn't that be cool? And at that time, like, I was beside the entrepreneurs in that city, and I thought, I'm not 100% sure this is going to work, but what the hell? We've tried the investors, we've tried the consultants, we've tried everything else. And that was a year ago, and then we got to the end of the year, and I was blown away with what the city of Santa Monica have done. Like, they came in here to early stage entrepreneurship. They didn't just work with City Grows, they threw their entire city team. And I am not an evangelist of people who do not deserve it. Any of you know me, you know that I'm a real straight shooter. But I think the city of Santa Monica, not just Rick, BEHRANG, Kevin, like everybody who stood up and said, we're going to come out here on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, we're going to evangelize this, and we're going to make sure that startup have a chance. Not a guarantee, but a chance to get city contracts and also to get involved in the city in a way that would never be possible before. They didn't just say it, they came out here and they did it. And now they're coming back for a second year to try and do it in a bigger and better way. So I just want to give, I want to bring Rick up, please, and I want to give a big thank you to Rick. I want to give a big thank you to BEHRANG, to Carl, to the Chamber, to everybody else involved. Let's tell everybody about this. If you're on social media, then shout this stuff out. It is easier to do nothing than what these guys have done. So let's make sure everybody knows about it. Thank you, Rick.
Thank you, Brian. And thank you for hosting us, as well as those wonderful words and all the part that you've played in the partnership. Look, I'm going to talk for a while. So there's like half a dozen seats. So if you don't want to stand, or grab one of these chairs and pull it over, there's a few sitting down. Thank you, BEHRANG, for that kind introduction. Fortunately, we have a civil service system, so he has a job tomorrow. I want to talk about three things. I want to talk about 21st century government. I want to talk about mashups, and I want to talk about values. So let me start with 21st century government, but let me take a step back and talk about 20th century government. We all know it. Who has a driver's license? So the DMV is 20th century government, right? It's 9 to 5. They've forgotten why they're there, but they're still there, and people line up, and they go through the process. There have been efforts to try to fix it, and sometimes it's gotten 5% better, or maybe 10% better than it. I mean, the appointments was a big step forward, right? It was a revolution. You could make an appointment. This was something that they learned from the private sector about 75 years later, and that's 20th century government. We make fun of it now, but when it started, it was incredible. Because before 20th century government, poor people were at the mercy of the Darwinian, Dickinsonian market, right? It was, Dickens said, "It's every man for himself," cried the elephant as he danced among the chickens. So think of that image, right? The vast majority of people were the chickens, and the great corporate behemoths were the elephants. And until 20th century government stepped in with public education, with public health departments, with public libraries, and yes, even the regulation that led to licensing drivers. It took from the chaos and the disasters of untrammeled capitalism. 20th century was an antidote. Government was an antidote to that. It was creating public value. It was protecting the most vulnerable people in our society and giving other people opportunities to become middle class and beyond. So 20th century government was driven by true values. But 100 years later, we need to revive that. We need to rekindle that. we need to reinvent that. And that's why we're here tonight to talk about 21st century government. 21st century government isn't like 5% better than 20th century government. It's 10x better. It's starting over again, not from scratch, but from that bedrock of values. Why are we here? Why do we exist? We exist because there's 350 million Americans, and every single one of them deserves respect and dignity and basic human rights. And government isn't here to get in the way of business. It isn't to create red tape. It's to create public value. It's to be responsive to the needs of people in America today. Not 100 years ago, not 150 years ago, in response to the people and their needs today. Today, tonight, 45,000 Angelinos will be outdoors, will not have a place to call home, will be homeless. In our country, that's unacceptable. They're not only a nuisance and a danger to themselves, but they are a blight on our conscience and a danger to our community. You cannot live 10 or 20 years outdoors and not become mentally ill and not live a life that is without the dignity and without the basic human rights that should be the birthright of every American. And we haven't figured out how to solve that problem. But we have solved other problems. Fire departments were invented because America in the 19th century was made out of wood, and we used fire for fuel and to heat our homes and our factories and to power our economy. So we had a lot of fires. Last year in Santa Monica, we had 47 fires, right? The building codes we've put into place, the public education we've put into place, the inspections we do of businesses and of residents, it's largely abolished the problem of fire. And though our fire department only went on 47 fire calls last year, our fire department went on 2,704 homeless distress calls. 2,704 times someone called 911 and said, "There's a man down. Can you send somebody out here? Because he might be bleeding, he might be dead, he might be in distress, might be having a heart attack. Can you send someone?" And we sent out a fire truck. 4 very well paid, very well trained, very expert people who arrived on the scene, and in 75% of the cases said, "Nothing we can do." Because there's nothing on a fire truck for public inebriation. There's nothing on a fire truck for chronic emphysema. There's nothing on a fire truck for mental illness. So in the Swiss Army knife of our fire trucks and the incredible training we give to our firefighters, we didn't have a tool in 75% of those 2,700 cases. That's what we've got to invent. That's 21st century government. We got a 21st century problem. We need a serious 21st century answer to that. And that's why we're here tonight. That's the second theme I want to talk about, is mashups. When I was growing up, there was a stand across the street from City Hall in LA. It sold the world's only kosher burrito. And it was owned by a Korean immigrant family. And in the years since I was a teenager and discovered the kosher burrito, Los Angeles has become the epicenter of cultural mashups on the planet, right? This is the place where, whether it's food, whether it's language, whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's technology, whether it's education, the world is coming here and finding fusion and synthesis like no place else on the planet. This is the most interesting place to be on the planet because of that mashup. And what we're talking about tonight is the mashup of tech and government, right? Two worlds that sometimes are suspicious and isolated from each other. It's like, do we even speak the same language? What we've been doing over the last year is that mashup, figuring out how to put together a kosher burrito, figuring out how to mesh together the impatience, the sense of urgency, the sense of dynamism that the tech sector brings, which is it's internet time, right? We never sleep. We constantly looking for new ways of doing things, the creative destruction, the constant reinvention, the fact that it, you know, if this isn't brand new in a year, you know, it sucks. The reality of that world mashed with the legacy of 20th century government, right? Trying, you know, the difference between ordering on Amazon and getting a building permit, right? On Amazon, it's Saturday night, it's 10 o'clock at night, you decide there's something you want to buy those sunglasses because you thought they were very cool. And so you type in Amazon, you type in Ray-Ban, you find the picture. In 3 clicks, it's on its way, and if you pay extra, it'll be there at your door on Sunday, delivered. 10 o'clock, you decide, oh, I think I'll figure out how to get a building permit, right? 20 minutes later, you might find the right website and download a PDF and fill it out by hand and fax it in, and then we'll call you and make an appointment, and then you'll come down and sit on one of those hard benches in our lobby, and we'll call your number, and then we'll give you an answer that 2 weeks later is going to change. That's not the way to do business in the 21st century. And we're about changing that. We're about adopting the dynamism and the impatience and the drive to be responsive government. Not because we're competing with Amazon for your dollars, but we're competing with Amazon for your trust. Because unlike Amazon, you own us. You don't pay for us to give you a service. We're not a vending machine. We are your government. 241 years ago, a bunch of white guys gathered in Independence Hall in Philadelphia decided for the first time that we were going to experiment with self-government at the continental scale. Right? There had been experiments with cities here and there, along from Athens to Florence, but no one had talked about self-government at a continental scale. And they wrote about the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And they invented the United States of America. And it's not a perfect country, but it has done more to unleash the liberation of the human spirit than any other experiment in the last 241 years. And we're still working on a more perfect union. And so what 21st century government is about values. It is about those eternal values of self-government. We can do better. We can do better than the DMV. We do better than the DMV every day at Santa Monica City Hall. But we are not satisfied. We want to adopt the impatience and the dynamism of the tech sector. We want to innovate. We want to deliver real quality services, and we want to solve real serious problems. We can't solve the problem of homelessness in Los Angeles County in 8.3 square miles. But we are damn sure we're going to do our part. We can't solve the regional housing crisis in 227 acres of our downtown. But we're damn sure we're going to do our part. We can't reinvent mobility for the planet. But in this city, having already booked 1 million miles on Southern California's first bike share program, carrying 16 million passengers a year on our big blue bus, changing the way people get around as pedestrians so they're safer and more numerous in our community. We are going to be a model of new mobility for the planet. We're not going to solve the problems of the planet here in our town, but we're going to show the way toward solving the problems of the planet. This is the first time in human history that a majority of the world's people live in cities. That is an incredibly profound transformation. America passed that demarcation line back in the census of 1920. That was the first time, the year before my father was born, was the first time that a majority of Americans lived in cities. Before that, a majority of Americans were farmers, right? My dad was born into the first era in which a majority of Americans lived in urban areas. Well, that's happening now at a pace and a scale that dwarfs the transformation of America in the 20th century. In China, in 15 years, they are going to build cities, they're going to expand their cities by 250 million people. That is like taking every single suburb and city in America and building it from scratch in 15 years. Not just the buildings, not just the roads, not just the sewers and the streetlights, but training all the cops and equipping all the schools and creating all the hospitals. All of that in 15 years. Now they're going to screw up part of that because you can't do it that fast. No one in human history has ever tried to do something at that scale and that speed. The last time it happened was 100 years ago when Chicago went from 30,000 people to 1 million people in 30 years. Nothing had ever happened on the planet at that speed and that scale. Well, Shenzhen, in the last 30 years, has gone from 30,000 people to 11 million people in 30 years. So, they don't have the rule of law. They don't have a democracy. They don't have the legacy of freedom that we've built over the last 241 years. So if we can't show the way here in our 8.3 square miles, what hope is there for Shenzhen? What hope is there for Jakarta? What hope is there for Nairobi? What hope is there for the 3 billion people on the planet that now live in cities if we can't show the way to 21st century government right here in Santa Monica, California? We can be a model. We cannot solve all of the problems of the planet in 8.3 square miles, but we can be a beacon. Just like the Statue of Liberty has inspired people all over the world since she lifted her lamp beside the golden door and welcomed the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. We can be a beacon to the world. We want you to partner and mash up with us and together create 21st century government. We challenge you to take up that opportunity. We will work with you. We will learn from you. We will teach you. We will figure out together, based upon the values of integrity and public spirit and public service, how to solve problems, how to make 21st century government. We'll do it together. It starts tonight. Thank you for coming.